Shalom to the sons and daughters of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And blessed Sabbath to everybody that's out there. Sorry for the late hookup, but we was just trying to deal with some technical difficulties. Okay, but we live, so we live. That's good. So, as we go get into this lesson today, the title is Hebrews and Israelites, right? And then under the bottom it says there is a difference, and there truly is a difference. Now, this past week, I was just having a conversation with a couple of brothers, and then I had went on and seen a couple of brothers on YouTube, and they was kind of going over and dealing with some Christian apologists, right? So, and they always try to fit themselves in with our nation of people, and they always trying to say that the kingdom, right, that the strangers also can come into the kingdom, and not only the strangers, but they also try to claim that they are of the children of Israel. Now, they never say the Hebrews, and that's what we're going to kind of bring out a little bit, because we always say Hebrew Israelites, right, which is true because Hebrew is our quote unquote like nationality. But then there was a covenant made with Jacob and Jacob's 12 sons, which came out to be that covenant, that lifelong covenant that he made with us. And Jacob's name was changed to Israel. So there's a lot of different moving parts here, right? And they try to grab whatever they can just to cling on to the children of Israel. So I decided to say, well, you know what? I'm going to go into this. I'm going to find out a few things. And not only that, but I also found one of my old tablets. I don't know if you all can see it or not, but bring it up a little bit. Maybe you can't see it, but it says Who's Who, right? And it's sort of like a little paper that Christianity sends out. I had ordered offline, but it goes into detail. And they actually know that there's a difference between Hebrews and Israelites. And I'm going to read from this as well. But it's really interesting because they know a lot. Look, these people that's in these Roman Catholic theology schools, they know. The thing is, they're not letting the people know so that they can push their doctrine and their agenda, which it has been done successfully all of these years. But the thing is that the scriptures tell us that the children of Israel in their land of captivity will know themselves. And that's what's happening on a wide scale, to a point where it's no stopping us, period. There's no stopping us as far as us recognizing ourselves, knowing ourselves, and not only that, but knowing the history of why things happen to us. Because that's another big thing too. It's like, well, why does slavery happen to the so-called blacks that's here in America? Well, it goes back from where? It comes right back to the biblical prophecies that was prophesied that has come true. But also, we call the curses, but also, along with that, the blessings. And that's what we're coming upon now. We're coming upon the blessings because all nations have had the children of Israel into captivity at one point in time. They have. But Esau, so-called white man, this is our last captivity, right? And from our last captivity, that's when we, as a people, and our Lord and Savior, Muhammad Mashiach Yahushua, said that he would come back and deliver us from out of this slavery the same way he did when he delivered us out of Egypt. So this right here is kind of be like a foundation point. I always like to put out certain lessons to get those Israelites that has been enlightened, to give them a foundation, something solid that they can ride on, so they won't be tricked. Because a lot of stuff is going to come out. Right now, we always talking about AI, which we should be, and how powerful it is, and how powerful it's coming out, and how they are manipulating certain things, but also they bring out the truth as well, right? And that's one thing about the computers and Esau. He knows it too. After a while, he's not going to be able to control it because the more information they feeds out, a lot of times the computer is not going to lie unless you tell it to lie. But we finding out that them computers are switching on them, and they're not actually going into their command, but they're actually letting out a lot of truth about the history. And history is definitely there and have to play a part for us to come back to our Lord and Savior. So, with that said, so what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna jump a little bit because I don't want to get into all the names, but I want to start with Adam because at one point in time, Adam, right, Most High chose him and his seed behind him. But understand when they say Adam, you gotta understand. I'll put a mite on it. The Adamites, I want to call them, just like the Israelites were the Adamites, because they were set aside above all the other people that was on the face of the earth during the time of Adam. And yes, there were people during the time of Adam on this earth, but the Most High set them aside. Okay, so we're gonna start off with that. Let's get Job first. Let's get Job chapter 8 and verse 8. Job 8 and 8. Let me go here. Oh, let me show the screen. All right. Yep. All right. Look at Job. Really got to get on this thing here. He's looking for Job. There we go. Damn, that's terrible. That's terrible. All right, we're good. All right. Go ahead.
All right. The book of Job, chapter 8, and verse 8. For inquire, I pray thee, of the former age.
Right. So the Heavenly Father is telling us to be inquired of the former age. Right. So, and that's what we did. You know, like I said, I know through everybody's testimony, somehow when an Israelite has stumbled across their nationality, they always had to go back for the former ages, meaning they had to go through the history to get an understanding of what is being presented to them. The Bible, a historical book, not a religious book. It is the historical book. So that's when he says, search out and go inform the former ages. Go ahead.
For inquire, I pray thee, of the former age, and prepare thyself to the search of their fathers.
Right, in the search of our fathers. Because remember how brutally we were treated here in America, coming off from slave ships, and also the Gold Coast of Africa as well. You know, they mistreated us there too as well, right? So when we searching out for our fathers, you know, we want to know like where we come from. A lot of people say, okay, we come from Africa, but what part of Africa? Africa is huge. It's got many continents on Africa, right? Then also with the continents, remember there's different tribes that's in Africa. So we want to know where we come from. But the Heavenly Father had put a prophecy in this Bible, right? So that once we start to read it and the Spirit come over us, then we can identify ourselves through these scriptures. And that's what's happening. That's exactly what's happening. So that's why he says, and prepare thyself for the search of thy fathers. Okay? Let's get Proverbs. Let's get Proverbs 25. Proverbs 25 and read verse 2.
Book of Proverbs, chapter 25, and verse 2.
Mm-hmm.
It is the glory of God to conceal a thing.
Right.
But the honor of kings is to search out a matter.
That's right, the honor of kings, and that's what we are. All of us male Israelites, right, are considered kings. And it said to search out the matter. Because that's the journey that we was on. As well as, you know, we bring our women right behind us as well. But that's the journey we on. To search out. It's the honor for us to search out the matter. And a lot of those Israelites that are hesitant to come to this truth, guess what? Like the scripture says, search out the matter. Have a conversation with the Israelite. Okay? And then let him answer your question that you may have. But that's the whole thing, is just trying to get that foundation. Okay? That's the foundation that the Most High require of us, so that we will be solid with the things that we're about to experience. We're about to experience something that hasn't took place on this earth yet. Most High testify of that. Okay, let's get Ecclesiasticus, Sirach, chapter 30. Chapter 30 and verse 4. Because when he says search out of that fathers, well, we're going to hear a prophecy right here, right? That's in Sirach. That's going to bring even more understanding of yourself as well as your seeds behind you, just like Adam did. Go ahead.
The book of Sirach, chapter 30 and verse 4. Though his father died, yet he is as though he were not dead.
Exactly. So now that's how we got to look at things. Through all of what happened to us through our slavery, you know, we had children were born, but we are of our father. That's why he said it's as though he was not dead, because he lives through his son and he lives through his daughter. So now that's the honor and the prestige that the Most High are doing on all humans on the face of the earth. And this is the reason why a lot of white folks say, "Well, we didn't have y'all in slavery. You know, our forefathers did, but we didn't." Well, guess what? You are the children of those people, just like we are the children of Israel, right? Our forefathers. That's why he said it's like as though he was not dead. Go ahead.
Though his father died, yet he is as though he were not dead, for he has left one behind him that is like himself.
That is like himself, and that's all of us. Okay, that's all of us. And once again, you know, that's when you start to search out your fathers. That's what it's saying. It's saying that your father is still here. You are a product of your father, and that goes well as the animal kingdom. It goes well as the plants. You know, when their offsprings, and when they're bringing up other trees, let's say trees for example, you know, we are a product of our fathers, and that would always be. Okay, so let's get into the Adamites real quick. So let's go to Genesis. Let's start at Genesis chapter 5, and then we're gonna start at verse 1. Now I'm gonna jump around a little bit, and I have forewarned my brother Thumb that I'm gonna get into them names, because I will chop them up, and it would be a sin if I had to pronounce them. I'm gonna be honest with you. Go ahead.
Book of Genesis, chapter 5 and verse 1.
Mm-hmm.
This is the book of the generations of Adam. In the day that God created man, in the likeness of God made he him.
Mm-hmm.
Male and female created he them, and blessed them, and called their name Adam in the day when they were created.
Okay, so now he said, and he called them Adam. That's the reason why I put out there the Adamites. Okay, and he said what? Male and female. So Adam had sons as well as daughters. You know, and I have to put that out, and I'm so glad they put that in there, because a lot of times when we talk about Israel, we always talk about the male, which we rightfully so. We should. But also, you know, our women is right there next to us. So it says Adam had male and female. Go ahead.
Verse 3. And Adam lived 130 years and begat a son in his own likeness after his image. And the son was named Seth.
Right. So just to back clap a little bit, you know, it was Cain and Abel. We know that Cain killed Abel. But at this point right here, the Most High blessed Adam again with just what we read in Ecclesiastes, Sirach, chapter 30. And it says, start there from again, verse 3.
Verse 3. And Adam lived 130 years and begat a son in his own likeness.
See, in his own likeness. So here we are with Seth. Now, when he said in his own likeness, when you start to read even more into it, that means that Seth was well disciplined. He followed the orders of what his father had told him to do. And he continued the faith, and he also continued the word of the Most High, which was given to Adam. Because remember, at this point, Adam still had a lot of power. You know? And the power I like to point out is when he can actually name every animal and name stars, and that right there, that's what you consider power and dominion. That's right. And he had not only that, like the brother said, he had dominion over all things. He knew what plants was growing. He knew what the trees was growing. He knew what they was for. I mean, he had all of this knowledge. So when he passed it down, right, Cain knew it. Abel knew it as well. But here, after that incident had happened, the Most High blessed him with what? A son in his likeness. Go ahead.
And begat a son in his own likeness after his image, and called his name Seth.
Go ahead.
And the days of Adam after he had begotten Seth were 800 years. And he begat sons and daughters.
See, he begat sons and daughters. Keep that in mind, because another thing that's myth is out there too. It was like, well, where did Cain and Adam get the yeah, get their wives from? Because there was people already there. Okay, go ahead. Verse 5.
Verse 5. And all the days that Adam lived were 930 years, and he died. And Seth lived 105 years and begat Enos.
Okay, that's it. And got Enos. Now remember, Enos is there too. So now you got Seth, you got Enos, right? Now I want to just skip down that same verse and go to verse 19.
Verse 19. And Jared lived after he begat Enoch 800 years and begat sons and daughters.
Right. So I kind of skipped some generations because I want to get down to one of the main ones, which is gonna be Enos and what's the other name? Enoch, right? Because what I'm trying to do is I'm just trying to go down the generational line and the genealogy just to get to like certain to get to Eber. That's what I'm trying to get to, because we're gonna understand through Eber that's where the term Hebrew came from, right? So keep reading.
Verse 20. And all the days of Jared were 962 years,
Okay.
and he died. And Enoch lived 65 years and begat Methuselah.
Okay, now stay right there and jump down to verse 28.
Verse 28. And Lamech lived 182 years and begat a son. And he called his name Noah, saying, This shall comfort us concerning our work and toil of our hands.
Right. So now we got Lamech, right? That came down the genealogy pool. And then what I want to point out certain ones, but now here we at Noah. Okay. And he said what? Starting, we said, this same shall what? Shall comfort.
And he called his name Noah, saying, Same shall comfort us. Same shall comfort us concerning our work and toil of our hands, because the ground which the Lord hath cursed.
Which the Lord hath cursed, we don't.
And
I'm sorry. That's 29, right? So now Noah's on the scene. Like I said, I'm gonna jump around a little bit. So Noah's on the scene. Now jump down to verse 32 in that same scripture.
Verse 32. And Noah was 500 years old, and Noah begat Shem, Ham, and Japheth.
Now here we go. Now the thing is, I want to bring out these sons because the separation is starting right now. Okay, so now Noah's on the scene right now. Remember, now he's still part of that lineage of the Adamites, right? Adam and his progenitors as they go down the line. All right. So let's go to First Chronicles. I'm sorry. Read 32 again.
Verse 32. And Noah was 500 years old, and Noah begat Shem, Ham, and Japheth.
Okay, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. All right, so let's go to First Chronicles now. So we got Noah on the scene. And then we got his three sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Right? First Chronicles chapter 1. Let me see if that's what yeah. First Chronicles chapter 1 through 4.
Book of First Chronicles, chapter 1, verse 1.
Now here's the Adam. I call them the Adamites. Here's the Adamites. It's the genealogy of the Adamites. Go ahead.
Verse 1. Adam, Seth, Enos, Kenan, Mahalalel, Jared, Henoch, Methuselah, Lamech, Noah, Shem, Ham, and Japheth.
Okay, so now here we are. Those are progenitors of the Adamites, and we can continue on. And they go into the other sons, and they're going to start breaking down the other sons and how they have had sons. Their generations from each one of these three sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Okay? So I'll stay in that chapter, jump down to verse 17.
Verse 17. The sons of Shem.
Now, this is very important because out of the sons of Shem, we're going to find out this is the progenitor when the Most High is setting up that covenant. Because he wants that seed to come down throughout the Adamites' genealogy now. Okay, go ahead.
The sons of Shem, Elam and Ashur, and Apraxahad, Apraxahad and Lud and Aram and Uz and Hod and Gether and Meshech.
Okay. Read on.
And Oxbad begat Selah, and Selah begat Eber.
Now, here's Eber now. So now we jumped on the scene with Eber. Now we're dealing with Noah. Then we're dealing with Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Now we're dealing with Eber. And Eber is very important because as we're going to continue to read, we're going to find out what role Eber actually played. Read on.
And unto Eber were born two sons.
Mhm.
And the name of the one was Peleg, because in his days the earth was divided. And his brother's name was Joktan.
Go ahead.
And Joktan begat Almadad and Selep and Hazar Maveth and Jerah.
Okay, we're going to skip a little bit. So I'm going to get down to, you can skip down to verse 24.
Verse 24. Shem, Arpahad, and Salah, Eber, Peleg, Ray.
Right. So now these are the sons. Now we're going down to the generation of the sons after their progenitors. Go ahead.
Sarah, Nahor, Terah, Abram, and the same is Abraham.
Okay, so now, like I said, I'm gonna jump ahead because I wanted to get to Eber, and then we know that from Eber, he had other sons, but one of his sons came out is who? Abram. The same as they say in verse 27 says Abram the same as Abraham. Because we have to hit Abraham so we can speed things up. Okay. Let's go to Genesis real quick. I just want to bring that out. I just want to bring out Abraham. So now let's go to Genesis chapter 9. And it's funny how it can play good in my head, but when I'm trying to pronounce it, trying to get it out, sometimes it gets shaky. But we're gonna work with it. We're gonna work with it. Genesis chapter 9 and verse 1.
Book of Genesis, chapter 9, verse 1.
So now we're going back. We're going to go back a little bit to Noah because it's important that you, but when I go back to Noah, because it's going to give some explanation on how and what was given Noah at that time. Because the Most High made a covenant with Noah and his 3 sons. Okay, go ahead.
Verse 1. And God blessed Noah and his sons and said unto them, be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth. And the fear of you and the dread of you shall be upon every beast of the earth, and upon every fowl of the air, upon all that moveth upon the earth, and upon all the fish of the sea. Into your hand are they delivered.
See, now the Most High is telling him all of these things that he said in your hands it would deliver. So let's stay right there, and let's jump down to verse 7.
Verse 7. And you, be ye fruitful and multiply, bring forth abundantly in the earth, and multiply therein. And God spake unto Noah and his sons with him, saying.
Okay, so now he said in all things, after the flood, and then once the ark had settled, and then things was being back released and the water subsided. So now he's giving instructions to the animals, to the insects, anything that was on that ark. Then he came down to Noah and he said, also, you ought to be fruitful and multiply, bring forth an abundance on the earth and multiply therein. So now people are being placed back upon the earth after the flood. All right, read verse 8 again.
Verse 8. And God spake unto Noah and to his sons with him, saying, And I, behold, I establish my covenant with you and with your seed after you.
Right, so now he said he established his covenant. Now that's one cat brought out this, and I was like, see, we are part of the covenant. See, right here, it said that the Most High made a covenant with Noah and his sons. It said, are we a part of his sons? Yes, they are. But the covenant that he made with them is, we're going to continue to read about them being fruitful and multiply, but he continue on and explains to them what covenant he's going to make with them. Go ahead.
Verse 10. And with every living creature that is with you, of the fowl, of the cattle, and of every beast of the earth with you, from all that you go out of the ark to every beast of the earth, and I will establish my covenant with you.
Right. So now he's saying that once again, he's established this covenant, this bond between the 3 sons. So and also you got to keep in mind too that they knew of the law as well. At this point in time, they knew what the law was. Okay, go ahead.
And I will establish my covenant with you. Neither shall all flesh be cut off any more by the waters of the flood.
Mm-hmm.
Neither shall there any more be a flood to destroy the earth.
That's the covenant, and that's what the guy that I was watching. That's what he was failing to bring out and show them that he made a covenant with them, but he made a covenant saying that he will no longer bring a flood upon the earth. That was it. Be fruitful and multiply, and I will not bring a flood back on the earth. Okay, go ahead. And I'm setting this up so that we'll know, because like I said, I had jumped ahead a little bit when we dealing with Eber, right? So we can bring out the Hebrew side of things. Go ahead.
And Yahweh said, "This is the token of the covenant which I make between me and you and every living creature that is with you for a perpetual generation."
There it is. So that is the covenant. Bottom line. That's the covenant. Continue to read. We're going to read down to 17.
Verse 13. I do set my bow in the cloud, and it shall be for a token of a covenant between me and the earth.
Now that came up too. That everybody's familiar of that. The quote unquote alphabet people are going to take that symbol out of the scriptures and then use it for their wickedness. Okay, but the Most High said he would have something there as dealing with this covenant, and he called it the bow. Go ahead.
And it shall come to pass when I bring a cloud over the earth that the bow shall be seen in the cloud. And I will remember my covenant which is between me and you and every living creature of all flesh. And the water shall no more become a flood to destroy all flesh.
Okay. Sorry about that. Let me get it back up there so they can see what we're talking about. You had 16, right? Yeah. Okay, you had 16. So now this bow, like he said, bring in clouds so that you can see it in the sky. Well, we also, know that that's the rainbow. Okay. And it's funny because I've always wondered, like, where did it start and where is it ending? And then a lot of people say, well, that's just a reflection of some type of glass, and then the rain came down to get that reflection. Well, you can say if you want to, but right here, the Most High said that he will have this as a symbol and as a covenant that he will not flood the earth anymore. So I'm going to take it as that. Okay. Start at 16 again from the top?
Yeah, we have 16.
Oh, we have
16. 15 again? No, that's not what we just
read. No, we can go 16.
Verse 16.
No, you know what? Go 15 because I see, remember my covenant. Go ahead.
Verse 15. And I will remember my covenant which is between me and you and every living creature of all flesh. And the water shall no more become a flood to destroy all flesh. Mm-hmm. And the bow shall be in the cloud, and I will look upon it that I may remember the everlasting covenant between God and every living creature of all flesh that is upon the earth. And God said unto Noah, this is the token of my covenant which I have established between me and all the flesh that is upon the earth. Exactly.
So that's the covenant. So we got past that. Okay. They are not. This covenant doesn't mean that all the nations are going to come in. This is just a promise that the Most High made at that time with Noah and his 3 sons. All right. So we're going to stay there. Let's get Genesis chapter 10. Genesis chapter 10. Let's read verse 1.
Genesis chapter 10 and verse 1. Now these are the generations of the sons of Noah, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. And unto them were sons born after the flood.
Okay, and unto them sons were born after the flood. So now they're starting off with their progenitors, and they're actually starting up with their generation of people. Whole different set. Because each one of these sons he said, be fruitful and multiply. So that's what started these generation of peoples. Okay. Jump down to verse 21.
Verse 21.
Let me get there. Okay, I'm there.
Verse 21. Unto Shem also, the father of all the children of Eber.
Right. So now I jumped ahead because you can read about Japheth and his generation. You can read about Ham and his generation is there. But I want to get straight to Shem because Shem, as we're going to read, his generation are the progenitors. This is how we starting to get the Hebrews, as well as dealing with Eber, but as well as it's going to continue on throughout their generations of where we're going to end up understanding the Israelites. Okay, go ahead.
Unto Shem also, the father of all the children of Eber, the brother of Japheth the elder, even to him were children born.
Were children born, okay. Keep reading. We're going to read down to... Keep reading.
Verse 22. The children of Shem, Elam and Ashur, and Alpahad. How you say it? Arphaxad. There we go. Thank you. And Arphaxad, and Lud and Aram. And the children of Aram, Uz and Ho, and Gether and Mash. And Arphaxad begat Salah, and Salah begat Eber.
Okay, so now that Salah begat Eber. And that's why I want to stay. I want to stay with Eber now. Keep going.
And unto Eber were born 2 sons, and the name of one was Peleg, and in his days the earth were divided, and his brother's name was Joktan.
Okay, and his brother's name was Joktan. Skip down and read verse 31.
Verse 31. These are the sons of Shem after their families, after their tongues, and in their lands after their nation.
Okay, so now we got everybody separated, because remember, at that time, as the Most High started changing languages as well. But as it say right here, we're dealing with the families of Shem, right? And they said, in their tongue, in their land, after their nations. Okay, 332.
Verse 32. These are the families of the sons of Noah after their generations, in their nations, and by these were the nations divided in the earth after the flood.
After the flood. Okay, so now we're gonna read this brochure real quick that I have. So we're gonna go into this. I wish I could have took screenshots and handed up, but as the brother read it, just go along with it. Okay, and it's dealing with Eber. Okay, yes, it's dealing with Eber. Oh man, there was another one I had. I wanted to show the definition in the how Eber begot his name and how it actually. Matter of fact, I could probably bring it up. Go ahead. Started from the top. I'll get into it.
Kingdom Bible Studies, Lesson 1. Who's who? The correct meaning of the names. Much confusion exists within Christian circles today, due largely to the misunderstanding of the terms Hebrew.
Right. So he said much misunderstanding. Go ahead.
Hebrew, Israelite, Jew, and Gentile. In this lesson, we will examine the correct meaning of the names Hebrew, Israelite, and Jew as found in the scriptures. In the following lesson, we will study the term Gentile. We will closely analyze these names to clarify their meanings.
Right. Okay, then let's understand their meaning. So now, like he said, big understanding within the Christian circle. Okay. So now, we're going to start with the other. Yeah, according.
Yeah. Hebrew. According to the Strong's Concordance, the word Hebrew, as found in the Old Testament, comes from the Hebrew word ivory, which refers to an Eberite or descendant of Eber. Chapter 10 of Genesis tells us that Eber was a descendant of Shem, who was one of Noah's sons. The word Hebrew, Eberite, is a family name, and the family or descendants of Eber.
Right. So now it says after Eber is considered a family name, the descendants after Eber. Okay. Keep going.
The first place of the word Hebrew is used in the Old Testament, King James Version, in Genesis chapter 14, verse 13.
Let's go there real quick. Let's see what they're talking about. Genesis chapter 14, verse 13. Let's not go there. It don't sound like what they saying. Yeah, let's go there. Let's go 14. Yep. Matter of fact, there was one. Yeah. So let's go there.
The book of Genesis chapter 14 and verse 13. And there came one that had escaped and told Abraham the Hebrew, for he dwelt in the plains of Mamre.
Right. So now we understand through the genealogy the reason why they called him a Hebrew. It is because he's a descendant out of Eber and his generation, in which when he started to multiply and start bringing forth sons and daughters. So they said Abraham the Hebrew. Now, the point I'm trying to make out of this, we're going to go a little further, is there's Hebrews there, but there's no Israelites. And that's what one of the questions they're going to say in here. Okay, read on. Let's go back. Let's go back to the paper. Yeah.
By definition, the word Hebrew can be tracked back to Eber and no further. Eber was the first Hebrew, contrary to what some people say.
Mm-hmm.
Genesis chapter 10 and verse 21, uh, First Chronicles chapter 1 and verse 17 through 28, and chapter 2 and verse 1.
Okay. You want to go back up there? Did you read this right here? The 1st Hebrew? You did that in Genesis? Because there's a question in there. That's in there. Let's see. Let's go back.
Top,
Yeah, let's go back.
paragraph 2. The first place of the word Hebrew is used in the Old Testament, King James Version, in Genesis chapter 14, verse 13.
Mm-hmm.
This verse tells us that Abram, later called Abraham, was a Hebrew, meaning that he was of the family of Eber.
Okay, go ahead.
Thus, any descendant of Abraham could accurately be called a Hebrew.
Okay.
Were Isaac, Jacob, and Esau Hebrews?
Now, that's one of the questions they said, right? They said who was it? Read them again. Isaac.
Were Isaac, Jacob, and Esau Hebrews?
Right. So now the key word in there too is Esau. Were they Hebrews? What's the answer?
Yes.
Okay. So now we know that they hated Esau. So-called white man that's been hated, which he rightfully deserved that title as being hated, the devil. But as you can see right here, he is a descendant from the Hebrews. So actually, his nationality he is an Hebrew. But it didn't say anything about an Israelite, which we're going to get into. That's the point I was trying to make, because even through Abraham, because he said, I will multiply thy seed greatly upon the earth. So all of Abraham's seed, all the sons and daughters that Abraham had, they are also considered Hebrews as well. Ishmael is considered a Hebrew, right? Because that was Abraham's first son. Okay, read on. Because all three, go ahead.
Yes, because all three were descendants of Abraham and thus belonged to the family of Eber. Mm-hmm. Were Shem, Noah, and Adam Hebrews?
Now, so it says, now here's another question. Were Shem, who?
Shem, Noah,
and Adam, were they Hebrews? Okay, one further back in the generation. Were they? Go ahead, what's the answer?
No.
Go ahead.
Because all three were lived before Eber was born.
That's right. And that's the understanding about it. Now, they got a little chronological chart that's here. I wish I could show it. I'm prepared once again. I'll be prepared next time. But it's actually showing how Adam, Noah, Shem, Eber, right? And then from Eber came Abraham. And then from Abraham, they got Ishmael. Then they have Isaac, right? And we know Isaac had who? Esau. And he had Jacob. But now the thing is, all of them are Hebrews. Just keep that in mind. All of them are Hebrews. Okay, so let's go. Let's go back to Genesis chapter 16. Genesis chapter 16. We're gonna read 11 and 12.
Book of Genesis chapter 16 and verse 11. And the angel of the Lord said unto her, Behold, thou art with child, and shalt bear a son, and shall call his name Ishmael, because the Lord hath heard thy affliction. And he will be a wild man. He will be a wild man. His hand will be against every man, and every man's hand against him. And he shall dwell in the presence of all his brethren.
Now I just want to bring out Ishmael because that's Abraham's first son. So, let's see what's on the back of this one. Okay, we're gonna wait for that. So I just want to bring out Ishmael because Ishmael is considered a Hebrew. So I just want to bring out his genealogy and who he is. Okay, stay in 14, and now they get Genesis chapter 17. Genesis chapter 17. And actually, I don't want Genesis chapter 17. Yeah, let's get Genesis chapter 17. So we know Ishmael's on the scene. So now after Ishmael, we know who comes after Ishmael, Isaac. And then Isaac had what? Two sons, Esau and Jacob, which are still Hebrews now. But right now, I'm going to bypass Ishmael, not Ishmael. I'm going to bypass Isaac. And I want to try to get right to Jacob, right? So that I can read the other portion of this little article that I have, okay? So Um, let's go to let's see, 17:1.
Yeah,
Genesis.
verse,
Yeah, Genesis chapter 17 and verse 1.
Book of Genesis, chapter 17, verse 1. And when Abram was 90 years old and 9, the Lord appeared to Abram and said unto him, I am Almighty God. Walk before me and be thou perfect. And I will make my covenant between me and thee, and will multiply thee exceedingly. And Abram fell on his face, and God talked with him, saying, As for me, behold, my covenant is with thee, and thou shalt be a father of many nations.
Right. So now the Most High has made this covenant with Abraham. But he said what? He said, but with me, I will make you a father of many nations. Now remember, now we passed the Hebrew start because we understand that they are Hebrews, but now it's a new covenant that's coming that the Most High is going to actually place upon Abraham and his seed, which goes into the covenant that he made with the children of Israel. Go ahead.
Verse 5. Neither shall thy name any more be called Abram, but thy name shall be Abraham. For a father of many nations have I made thee.
Okay.
And I will make thee exceedingly fruitful, and I will make nations of thee, and kings shall come out of thee.
And say, and kings shall come out of thee. Right? Because remember now, when Abraham was in his prime and he was having his kids, right? It's also saying that he had sons and daughters. So Abraham had a lot of kids because also he had children by the concubines as well. So all of them that came out of Abraham, they are considered Hebrews. Okay, they definitely considered Hebrews. Um, so jump down to stay in 17. Jump down to 18.
Verse 18.
Genesis chapter 17 and verse 18.
Verse 18. And Abraham said unto God, O that Ishmael might live before thee. And God said unto Sarah, thy wife, shall bear thee a son indeed, and thou shalt call his name Isaac. And I will establish my covenant with him for an everlasting covenant, and with his seed after him.
See, and with his seed after him. So now this is the covenant that he made with Abraham because he thought that this covenant was going to go down to Ishmael. But now he's telling them that, okay, now I'm going to you're going to have a son. You're going to name his name Isaac, and he's going to carry on your seed, the progenitor, right, of us establishing this covenant with his seed that he's going to have, Isaac. Okay, go ahead. Verse 20.
And as for Ishmael, I have heard thee. Behold, I have blessed him, and will make him fruitful, and will multiply him exceedingly.
And do what?
And will multiply him exceedingly. 12 princes shall he beget, and I will make him a great nation.
So that's the great nation that the Most High said that to Abraham, I will make you a great nation, and kings will come out of it. And now that's what we have right now today. That's considered in the Middle East over there, Saudi Arabia, Yemen, Libya, all of them nations over there, those Arab nations. The Most High continued his promise, but that covenant he did not make with Ishmael. He made it with Isaac. And that's when we're going to continue on dealing with Isaac and then who came after Isaac. Now, remember, we brought out Esau before because Esau is there, but we know that he gave up his birthright, the whole thing that went through with him and Rebekah. But now, from that, we're going to get into Jacob, but we're going to continue on. Let's go back to Genesis. That was the end of that, right?
Yeah.
22?
No, we're at 21 right now.
Okay, go ahead. Keep reading.
Verse 21. But my covenant will I establish with Isaac, which Sarah shall bear unto thee at this set time in the next year. And he left off talking with him, and God went up from Abraham.
And he went up from Abraham. So now he getting all this information Abraham is. He totally confused because he know that Abraham was up in age, Sarah's up in age, but that was the whole blessing, right? And the miracle that the Most High placed upon Abraham and Sarah. Like I said, I'm going to be skipping a lot. I'm really not going to go into it, but I'm quite sure a lot of you guys are familiar with it. All right, so let's go to Genesis. Let's go to Genesis chapter 22, because he said he was going to make this covenant with Abraham, and he should have a son, and his son should be called Isaac. And he said he's going to continue on to give him the blessings of the covenant. 22 and 1.
Book of Genesis, chapter 22, verse 1. And it came to pass after these things that God did tempt Abraham and said unto him, Abraham. And he said, Behold, here I am. And he said, Take now thy son, thine only son.
That's
Isaac.
a key right there. I just wanted to bring that out because we know Ishmael is definitely there. But now the Most High is recognizing as Isaac as his only son. And that's due to the covenant that he made with Abraham. So you got to kick up on that key thing, my only son. Started from the top, 20, verse 2.
Verse 2. And he said, Take now thy son, thine only son,
Doesn't even recognize Ishmael. Go ahead.
Thine only son, Isaac, whom thou lovest, and get thee into the land of Moriah, and offer him there for a burnt offering upon one of the mountains which I will tell thee of.
Exactly. Because that's when the Most High tested Abraham. He tested him to do what? To put Isaac's life on the line. And he overcame that, right? A faith test. So he overcame it. But the key thing I want to bring out in this, he said, Isaac, thy only son. Okay. Let's stay in Genesis. Get Genesis chapter 25. I want to bring out just 25 and start at 1. And I'm still harping on, he said, thy only son, because Abraham had many kids, but he only recognized one child out of Abraham's seed. Go ahead.
Book of Genesis chapter 25 and verse 1. Then again, Abraham took a wife, and her name was Keturah.
Mm-hmm. Now, this is when Sarah passed away, and Abraham is still having kids. All right. Stay there and jump down to 5 and 6.
Verse 5. And Abraham gave all that he had unto Isaac, but unto the sons of the concubines which Abraham had, Abraham gave gifts and sent them away from Isaac his son.
Now, isn't that something? So the Most High recognized Isaac as the only son, but Abraham had other kids and other sons as well. Now, the daughters are in there too, but he said he gave everything to Isaac, but he also gave a portion to the other sons from the concubines, but he sent them on their way because he didn't. Most High told him, I don't want nobody around Isaac. Isaac is a chosen. Let him come up because I'm going to deal with him. Start number 6 at the top.
Verse 6. But unto the sons of the concubines which Abraham had, Abraham gave gifts and sent them away from Isaac his son, while he yet lived eastward unto the east country. And these are the days of the days of the years of Abraham's life, which he lived. And 100.
That's good. Stay there. Jump down to 19. Like I said, I'm gonna skip over
verse 19.
So the main thing out of that is that Abraham had other sons, but he gave them gift and he sent them on his way. Okay. Verse 19.
Verse 19. And these are the generations of Isaac, Abraham's son. Abraham begat Isaac. And Isaac was 40 years old when he took Rebekah to wife, the daughter of Bethuel, the Syrian of Padan Aram, the sister of Laban the Syrian.
Okay, keep reading.
And Isaac entreated the Lord for his wife because she was barren. And the Lord was entreated of him, and Rebekah his wife conceived.
Right. So now here we're dealing with Isaac. We're dealing with Isaac, right? And he's wondering, like, okay, Rebekah is having these babies. Like I said, I'm jumping because I want to get now from Isaac. So now we get into the two sons, which Rebekah had, right? So now Isaac entreated to the Lord and said, what's going on with his wife and his pregnancy, right? So the Most High will continue to give the understanding about what's going on. Now, remember, we're talking about the covenant. So we're talking about the covenant, and not only that, but we're talking about this is when the split comes between the Hebrews and the Israelites. It's coming up. So we dealt with the Hebrew part of it. Okay, go ahead. Verse 22.
Verse 22. And the children struggled together within her. And she said, if it be so, why am I thus? And she went to inquire of the Lord. And the Lord said unto her, 2 nations are in thy womb.
Very key. Now, we always bring that out, but it's the truth. He's given Isaac to understand of what's going on with her pregnancy. And he said, 2 nations are in thy womb. Then he's going to continue to tell further about these two nations. Now, if it's two nations, that'll let you know progenitors, even though they're in the womb together. But remember that Esau is in Hebrew now, because he's coming out of Abraham's loins. Read.
And the Lord said unto her, two nations are in thy womb, and two manner of people.
Two manner of people. Now, I wanted to get the other version, like another Bible version, saying what they mean by two versions, mean two manner of people, because we know now that prophecy has been fulfilled, the mannerism of us and them, meaning Esau and Jacob. There's two totally different manners. Also, the scriptures explain that the difference in them as far as how they look. But remember, we're building ourselves up to understanding these Israelites. Okay, go ahead.
And two manner of people shall be separated from thy bowels. And the one people shall be stronger than the other people, and the elder shall serve the younger.
And that's what happened during the pregnancy. Okay, Esau came out first, the younger one, and Jacob came out second, holding the heel of Esau. But more prophecy had to be fulfilled to give understanding to Isaac, and also to give understanding to us now, these days. Because now that we know that the covenant belongs to the children of Israel, everybody's trying to jump on the bandwagon. And that's what we see out in our time and what we're living in, is everybody wants to be a part of this new kingdom that's coming down, that Christ has set up for the children of Israel. Then they try to manipulate to say, well, you know what? The Lord loves everybody. He created all humans, and all of us are going to heaven. Or we're the strangers, and the strangers held was with Israel during the time of Exodus. You know, that was another thing out there. Yes, the stranger was there, but they still don't have part of that covenant that the Most High left with the children of Israel. So I'm just kind of giving a little foundation about Hebrews and Israelites right now, but certain key things is bringing out because the Most High called Isaac, Abraham's son, thy only son. And then from here, Isaac came down and had two children as well. And then from his two children, which is Esau and Jacob, the Most High, the scriptures say that two manner of people and two nations shall be born. Okay, what we at, 24? 24. Go ahead.
Verse 24. And when her days to be delivered were fulfilled, behold, there were twins in her womb. Mm-hmm. And the first came out red, all over like a hairy garment. And they called his name Esau.
So now, if you go back up, it says two manner of people. So now one came out red all over like a hairy garment. We can also identify who that person is. Not only that, but like I said, the time that we're living in, especially with all of AI and all the brothers that putting their the description of the Israelites and the description of Esau, you know, are coming. I mean, it's all over social media, all over. They cannot deny it. But that's also the prophecy that the Most High put out there when he said that we will understand and know ourselves, and we will also serve the Lord in righteousness in the land of our captivity as well. So here he is. Esau came out red and hairy, all over like a hairy garment. Read on.
Verse 26. And after that came his brother out, and his hand took hold of Esau's heel.
As you can see, there's no description of Jacob. They didn't say anything about Jacob. This was unusual, very unusual, because all at that time, everyone had pigmentation. Everyone had color. But this one particular son came out red and hairy, right? All over his body. So he's been straight put the light on. And Jacob, they didn't even mention how he looked because he was a normal looking kid. But keep in mind, Esau is still un-Hebrew. Okay, go ahead.
And his name was called Jacob. And Isaac was 80 years old when he bare them. Mm-hmm. And the boys grew. And Esau was a cunning hunter, a man of the field. And Jacob was a plain man.
Was a plain man. Go ahead.
Dwelling in tents.
Dwelling in tents. And what does Esau like to do these days? We know. I mean, like I said, he can't run from the prophecies as well. You always see him out hunting something. Either he's trying to kill it or he's trying to understand how it actually works. You know, we used to always put out an example like, we said, that dude is a cunning hunter. We know he go out and kill things, but this man takes cameras down into an ant pile, and he wants the camera to go in there to see what the ants are doing underneath the earth. This man puts cameras in. Let's see what the bees are doing. He's always trying to find out and hunting down to see what is being taken place. He wants to know. He wants to document it. And then once he documented, then the evilness come in him, and that way he's able to manipulate it to his way. Okay, and that's what's happening right now on the earth. Right now, while he's in rulership, right now, he's manipulated everything. We know food, water, you name it. This man found out the source of it, how it works, and then he puts his extras in there to what? To so that he will have the advantage of everybody else. But once again, we also seeing his day of destruction is coming. Matter of fact, it's right out our front door right now. Okay. So here we are. What we at? 28? Read 28.
Verse 28. And Isaac loved Esau because he did eat of his venison, but Rebekah loved Jacob.
Right. So now we go into the story how Rebekah had told Jacob to do a certain thing to receive the blessing. I'm not going to get into that. I just want to bring out the birth of Esau and Jacob. Right. So let's stay there. Let's go into Genesis chapter 26. Genesis chapter 26. And we're going to start at verse 1. We'll start at verse 1.
Book of Genesis chapter 26, verse 1. And there was a famine in the land besides the first famine that was in the days of Abraham. And Isaac went unto Abimelech, king of the Philistines, unto Gerar. And the Lord appeared unto him and said, Go not down into Egypt, dwell in the land which I shall tell thee of. Sojourn in this land, and I will be with thee, and I will bless thee. For unto thee and unto thy seed I will give all these countries, and I will perform an oath which I swear unto Abraham thy father.
Right. So now there's the oath. So now he's giving instructions to Isaac. Because why? There was a famine in the land. Now we've heard that before. Right? The Most High had did that before. And he did it in the future to get what? Get the children of Israel down into Egypt. Okay. But now this happened to Isaac. Right? Isaac's got Jacob, but this even happened. This happened to one of his grandsons, Joseph, which he went down into Egypt. Okay. So just wanted to kind of bring that out. Continue to read.
Verse 4. And I will make thy seed to multiply as the stars of heaven.
So now he's giving Isaac all of this information about this covenant, as well as the blessings that he said that he would give to his father that would pass down to him and his children. But at this time, they had a famine and they had to flee down to Egypt. Go ahead.
And I will make thy seed to multiply as the stars of heaven. And I will give unto thy seed all these countries. And in thy seed shall all the nations of the earth be blessed. Because that Abraham obeyed my voice and kept my charge, my commandments, my statutes, and my laws.
See, Abraham had all these laws. So that's why I say Ishmael knew the law as well. And guess what? All the other sons that Abraham had, they knew the law. We know that it's been passed down just like it's been passed down to us. Read on.
Verse 6. And Isaac dwelt in Gerar, and the men of the place asked him of his wife, and he said, She is my sister, for he feared to say, She is my wife.
Now, this was a situation I just want to continue to read because I found it interesting too, because his father did the same thing. Abraham did the same. He said that Sarah was his sister, right? And ended up she getting taken away, and then he had to come back, and then the king of Egypt said, "Why did you trick me? Why did you tell me this was your wife?" So now the scenario is happening to Isaac right here. Read on.
For he feared to say, She is my wife. Lest, said he, the men of the place should kill me for Rebekah, because she was fair to look upon. And it came to pass when he had been there for a long time, that Abimelech, the king of the Philistines, looked out at a window and saw, and behold, Isaac was sporting with Rebekah his wife.
Right, playing around with her, and to a way where if that's your sister, you ain't gonna be playing with your sister the way I'm seeing you playing with her. So, but the point I wanted to bring out as well is, like I said, Abraham did it, Isaac did it, and just a coincidence. I'm like, wow, and them sisters must have been fine. They must have been off the chain. So here we are. he see that Isaac and Rebecca is playing around with one another. Go ahead.
And Abimelech called Isaac and said, Behold, of a surety she is thy wife.
For surety, they playing around, but you ain't gonna be playing with your sister like that. Go ahead.
And how saidest thou, she is my sister?
Uh-huh.
And Isaac said unto him, Because I said, lest I die for her.
Read on.
And Abimelech said, What is this thou hast done unto us? One of the people might lightly have lied with thy wife.
Right there. One of the people may have lied with their wife. Now, Abimelech was what? What king was he? A Philistine king. So he said, you by you doing that, somebody could have lied with your wife. So now he knows the law. That's the key I want to bring out. He knows the law about adultery. So he was like, man, one of them could have laid with your wife. And then what would happen? Go ahead.
And thou shouldst have brought guiltiness upon us.
See, guiltiness. Now we know the Philistines and they're gonna act, but as we go back, we see Shem, Ham, and Japheth, and Noah. Those laws was given to them, even to the point whether they follow or not, they still was given to them. And right here we see an incident where this Philistine knew not to go messing with another man's wife. Period. Okay, read on.
And Abimelech charged all his people, saying, He that toucheth this man or his wife.
Where you at?
Verse 11.
Okay, verse 11. Okay, go ahead.
Verse 11. And Abimelech charged all his people, saying, He that toucheth this man or his wife shall surely be put to death.
Ain't that something? Surely be put to death. All right. Keep reading.
Verse 12. Then Isaac sowed in that land and received in the same year an hundredfold. And the Lord blessed him.
And the Lord blessed him. Go ahead.
And the man waxed great and went forward and grew until he became very great. For he had possession of flocks and possession of herds and a great store of servants. And the Philistines envied him.
Exactly. And that's everywhere we go. Because remember, that blessing is still on Isaac. So even though he was down in Egypt, still, what happened? The Most High continued to bless him with wealth, untold of, because he already had it at one point in time. But here is the situation as far as I'm going to bring back. They knew the law. Right? They knew the law. All right. So we're going to drop that. We're going to go to verse 27. So we're building up and we're going down to deal with the 12 tribes. Verse 27 and read verse
1. Book of Genesis chapters 27 and verse 1. And it came to pass that when Isaac was old and his eyes were dim, so that he could not see, he called Esau, his eldest son, and said unto him, My son. And he said unto him, Behold, here I am.
Read to.
And he said, Behold, now I am old. I know not of the day of my death.
Right. So now we jumping, like I said, we jumping a little ahead. So now Isaac got older. So now he's ready to pass down the blessings and what the covenant had promised, what the Most High promised him. Okay. Jump down, stay in that chapter and jump down to 33.
Book of Genesis chapter 27 and verse 33.
Let me get there real quick. Let me scroll down. Okay, go ahead.
And Isaac trembled very exceedingly and said, Who? Where is he that hath taken venison and brought it to me? And I have eaten of all before thou camest, and have blessed him. Yea, and he shall be blessed.
And he shall be blessed. So now that's when the switch came, right? Rebecca told Jacob to do a certain thing to get the blessing. So now, like he said, out of the vision, he said Isaac trembled because he was like, what's going on here? Pop's going to find out. Pop's going to know. Okay, read on.
Verse 34. And when Esau heard the words of his father, he cried with a great and exceeding bitter cry.
Right.
And said unto his father, Bless me, even me also, O my father.
Oh, my father. Stay there. Let's drop down because I'm going to drop down a little bit more. Just drop down to verse 41.
Verse 41. And Esau hated Jacob because of his blessing wherewith his father blessed him. And Esau said in his heart, The days of mourning for my father are at hand. Then will I slay my brother Jacob.
Right. So, and that hatred is still in him. Okay, that hatred, and the words that he put out at that time, because remember now, the Most High is just dropping blessings on this whole family. But the words that came out of Esau's mouth is prevalent today. Esau vowed to continue to destroy his brother Jacob and his seed after him. And that's what's happening today. Just to throw a little prophecy in there. But like I said, it's the foundation and the separation that I'm trying to pull out as far as the Hebrews and the Israelites. So I had to bring out certain portions of what was happening during the time of Jacob and Esau. Now, we're going to continue on. Read on.
Verse 42. And these words of Esau, her elder son, were told to Rebekah. And she sent and called Jacob, her younger son, and said unto him, Behold, thy brother Esau, as touching thee, doth comfort himself, proposing to kill thee. Right. Now therefore, my son, obey my voice, and arise, flee thou to Laban my brother to Haran.
Now she told Jacob to flee. So like I said, I'm jumping ahead. So Jacob fled from the presence of Esau, and then from there he went down to dwell with Laban. And the historical about that is he worked for Rachel and Leah, right? So during that process, when he did finish the work that he did with Laban, right, and there was an incident there where Laban wanted to keep him. During the process of him staying with Laban, this is when he actually came about and started fathering children from these two women, okay, which were the children of Israel. So, like I said, I'm just kind of jumping ahead of things. So, let's go to this article right here. Let's go to this article, and you can start right up here at the top. And just listen to the brother. Like I said, forgive me because I should have screenshotted and put it up so we can follow along.
Israelite. Strong's Concordance tells us that the word Israelite, Israel, in the Old Testament comes from the Hebrew word Israel, which refers to the symbolic name of Jacob and also of his posterity. Israel is a family name, the family of the descendants of Jacob. The first time we find the word used in the Old Testament is in Genesis 32 and 28.
Okay. So now let's find out Jacob when he changed his name. Let's go to let's go back to Genesis. We'll get Genesis chapter 32. And we're gonna start at 23. Sorry about that. Give me 1 minute. I hit the wrong one. 32. Genesis 32 and verse 23.
Genesis chapter 32, verse 23. And he took them and sent them over the brook and sent over that he had. And Jacob was left alone. And there wrestled a man with him until the breaking of day. And when he saw that he prevailed not against him, he touched the hollow of his thigh, and the hollow of Jacob's thigh was out of joint as he wrestled with him.
Okay, so now we're gonna go back. Because we ain't go to his name changing yet. We're gonna go back. So what happened was Esau was after him. So what Jacob did, he split up his family and he fled from Esau. But the moral of the story is Esau wasn't even really tripping. What he did, finally caught up with Jacob. As a matter of fact, he even loved him and said he kissed him on the jaw, this, that, and the other, and they went their separate ways. Right? So at this time, Jacob panicked, sent his family and divided them up, sent one this way, one the other way. So now he's left alone. And now that he's left alone, he started to wrestle with this angel, which in the future, you're going to read how his name was changed. Go ahead.
And he said, let me go.
I'm going to go back to the sheet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. You can pick it up at, right here. It says, Israel is a family name.
Israelite. Israel is a family name, the family or descendants of Jacob. The first time we find the word used in the Old Testament is in Genesis chapter 32, verse 28, which tells us that Jacob's name was changed to Israel. You see also Genesis chapter 35 and verse 10. The 12 sons of Jacob and their descendants become known as Israelites, also the children of Israel, and together they form the nation of Israel. By definition, the term Israel and Israelite begin with Jacob and continue from that point. These terms did not exist prior to Jacob's name change.
Right. So let's go back right here, Genesis chapter 32 and verse 25.
Book of Genesis, chapter 32, verse 25. And when he saw that he prevailed not against him, he touched the hollow of his thigh, and the hollow of Jacob's thigh was out of joint as he wrestled with him. And he said, Let me go, for the day breaketh. And he said, I will not let thee go, except thou bless me. And he said unto him, What is thy name? And he said, Jacob. And he said, Thy name shall be called no more Jacob, but Israel. For as a prince thou hast power with God and with men, and hast prevailed.
And has prevailed. So now we know out of the scriptures how his name was changed and why his name was changed. Okay, so now we're going to go back to the article. By definition.
By definition, the terms Israel and Israelite begin with Jacob and continue from that point. These terms did not exist prior to Jacob's name change. As a result, could Adam, Noah, Shem, Eber, Abraham, Isaac, and Esau have been Israelites?
Right. So that's the question. Now, could they be Israelites? Say those names again. Adam.
As a result, could Adam, Noah, Shem, Eber, Abraham, Isaac, and Esau have been Israelites?
Go ahead.
No, of course not, for none of them were Jacob's descendants. Yet to this day, some people erroneously refer to these men as Israelites.
Exactly. So I'm just trying to make that clear. Now, they are Hebrews, but they're not Israelites. And we're going to find out also what covenant the Most High left with Jacob and his 12 sons. And that brings a whole light to things because, like I said, this Most High has structured this thing where there's no way around it. So for those who do know, when they try to attach themselves to us and what we believe in and what we're trying to, the message we're trying to get to our people, and they try to join in, they cannot. They cannot. We can bring out certain historical facts, right, and scriptures, what we're showing right here, to say that no, they may be Hebrews, but they're not part of the Israelite covenant that the Most High left with us. All right. So we're gonna go back to the article. So he says no, they cannot.
Right there?
Yeah.
As a result, could Adam, Noah, Shem, Eber, Abraham, Isaac, and Esau have been Israelites? No, of course not, for none of them were Jacob's descendants. Yet to this day, some people erroneously refer to these men as Israelites. On the other hand, Joseph, Moses, Joshua, David, Solomon, and the Old Testament prophets, Yahushua and his apostles, were all Israelites.
Wow, you hear that? All Israelites. He said David. He said, we go back. He said Joseph, Moses, David, and all of them can actually announce their tribe as well. Because remember, the sons, even though they was 12 tribes, they had children of theirs, which went under their banner, which that's why we call the 12 tribes of Israel. But each one of these men fall under a banner under the 12 tribes, right? Like David came from the tribe of Judah. As we can say, let's say Paul. Paul announced that he came from the tribe of Benjamin. Okay, so start there from the top again. On the other hand,
Joseph, Moses, Joshua, David, Solomon, and the Old Testament prophets, Yahushua and his apostles, were all Israelites.
See, they can refer back to a tribe that came out of Jacob. Okay, go ahead.
Because they were descendants of Jacob. In fact, many multitudes of people today are Israelites due to their physical descent from these various tribes or sons of Jacob, Israel.
That's right. Okay. Read the point of clarification. The term.
Point of clarification. The term Israel and Israelite can also, in a narrow sense, refer to the northern 10 tribe kingdoms of Israel as opposed to the southern kingdom of Judah.
Exactly. Because we do call the northern kingdom after the split with Jeroboam and Rehoboam. After the split, we call the 10 tribes, right, Israel. And the scriptures also announce them as Israel. And the southern kingdom, they would call them Judah, which comes out of the other 3 tribes, Judah, Benjamin, and Levi. Okay, continue on.
The nation of Israel was split into 2 separate kingdoms under Rehoboam and Jeroboam. See in 1 Kings chapter 11 and chapter 12. Therefore, care must be taken to determine the intended meaning of these terms according to the overall context within which they are used.
Mhm.
Israel can refer to all 12 tribes or just the northern 10 tribes, depending on context.
See, that's the reason why I liked it. I was like, wow, they on point on this. And this is the thing. Anybody can just get this right here. So that let me know throughout, they know exactly who we are. And solidifying that gives more foundation, gives more understanding for those who are walking in this faith. So that way, when they come with AI and all this other stuff that they want to press upon the public, right? Then we already know we can go back in our memory bank, we can go back in our Bible, and we can pull out the genealogy and the history of the genealogy, where the split came in from, what are they actually trying to say by trying to latch themselves onto the children of Israel. And we can cut them off right at the thing. Yeah, you may be Hebrews, but that's it. But that's it. So we're gonna go a little further. All right. Let's go back to the let's go back. Let's get we're gonna go to Genesis chapter 35. Yeah. Genesis chapter 35, and we're gonna read 10. Going back to show more evidence of Jacob's name being changed. Verse 10.
Book of Genesis, chapter 35, and verse 10. And Yahweh said unto him, Thy name is Jacob. Thy name shall be not thy name shall not be called any more Jacob, but Israel shall be thy name.
Mm-hmm.
And he called his name Israel.
Mm-hmm.
And Yahweh said unto him, I am Yahweh Almighty. Be fruitful and multiply. A nation, a company of nations shall be of thee, and kings shall come out of thy loins.
No, that sound familiar? He said that with Abraham, then he said it with Isaac, and now he's saying it to Jacob. And now, after Jacob, his three sons is coming, and that's where the kings are coming from. That's what he said. Nations, 12 nations shall come from Jacob, right? That actually established the children of Israel. Because we just read up in here, they said that could Abraham, Isaac, could they be called Israelites? No, they couldn't. Okay, so we continue to read verse 12.
Verse 12. And the land which I gave Abraham and Isaac, to thee will I give it, and to thy seed after thee will I give the land.
Well, he gave the land. Let's go to Exodus. So he gave the land. Exodus chapter 2, and we're going to read verse 24.
Book of Exodus chapter 2, verse 24.
Now I'm jumping ahead again. So now he, like he said, he promised them the land and he promised the covenant to Jacob's sons. So let's go to Moses. Go ahead.
And God heard their groaning, and Yahweh remembered his covenant with Abraham, with Isaac, and with Jacob.
Mm-hmm.
And Yahweh looked upon the children of Israel, and Yahweh had respect unto them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now Moses kept the flock of Jethro, his father-in-law, the priest of Midian, and he led the flock to the backside of the desert, and came to the mountain of God, even to Horeb. And the angel of the land appeared unto him in a flame.
Where we at?
Exodus 3 and 2.
Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
24, 25.
I'm sorry, I got mixed up. Yeah, I'm sorry, I got mixed up. We can start that again at verse Exodus 2 and 24. I'm sorry.
Book of Exodus chapter 2 and verse 24.
All right, just to recap. So now we jumping, like I said, we're jumping to find out this covenant that was given, right, to the children of Israel. Go ahead.
And Yahweh heard their groaning, and the Most High remembered his covenant with Abraham, with Isaac, and with Jacob.
Mm-hmm.
And God looked upon the children of Israel, and Yahweh had respect unto them.
Mm-hmm. All right, now just stay in Exodus. It's Exodus chapter 6. All right, so Exodus chapter 6 and verse 5.
Book of Exodus chapter 6.
So the Most High heard their groaning. Okay.
Verse 5.
Before he reads or after he reads?
It was just to highlight that verse 25.
Oh, okay.
Because most of, we know the most of not respect the person,
Mm-hmm.
but scripture don't say it doesn't. He not respect the person, but we see here he said that he has respect for the children of Israel. Now, the topic is other Hebrews that come from Hebrew, but who loses respect? Only Israelites.
Okay. Good point. Let me bring that back out. Let's go back to Exodus chapter 2, and let's read 24 and 25, and I'll give that explanation that the brother just brought out.
Book of Exodus, chapter 2, verse 24.
Okay.
And God heard their groaning, and God remembered his covenant with Abraham, with Isaac, and with Jacob.
Okay. Now, what the brother said, what he brought out was, he said these three right here. He said that Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob is the covenant which the Most High gave to. Now he's going to read 25. Go ahead.
And God looked upon the children of Israel,
Uh-huh.
and God had respect unto them.
So now the respect that the brother brought out was like this. He said, yeah, Most High is not respect the person, but he is respecting the children of Israel of the covenant that he gave them. So he has a respect unto Israel and his covenant that he gave them. Now, it didn't say the other Hebrews because they're not in this equation right here. So he had respect unto Israel, not the other Hebrews. I'm sorry, the other nations that can claim they're Hebrews, because they can claim it, they have a right to. But the respect and the covenant was given right here. And the Most High said he had respect unto who? Read it from the top again.
And God looked upon the children of Israel, and God had respect unto them.
Unto them. Okay, unto them and them only. Okay. Now we go to Exodus chapter 6. That's a good point, brother brought out.
And also,
Mm-hmm.
you know, that Hebrew is a language. So you got out of the family of Shem, all of them were Hebrew. Matter of fact, the whole earth was speaking Hebrew.
Mm-hmm.
So they can be Hebrew, Moabites, Hebrew, Edomites, Hebrew, all of them. Because that's just a language.
Mm-hmm.
But then it broke down different nations.
Right.
Okay? Moabites, Ammonites, Edomites, Elamites. Those are the different nations. But each one of them was speaking at that time Hebrew.
The Hebrew. Good point. Excellent point. I hope they heard that. An excellent point, because like you said, yeah, like the brother was saying, I can't explain it out.
No,
I'm sorry, I should
the
have
whole
me on
land
mic.
was speaking
Okay, he said the whole land was speaking Hebrew.
So everybody
Right.
was speaking the language of Hebrew.
Right.
So all those nations were speaking Hebrew.
Mm-hmm.
But when they all became a nation like Israel themselves, then they were separate.
Then they started separating.
Okay? And of course we know Most High only chose out of all 18 nations, out of Shem, Ham, and Japheth, he only chose, of course, Israel.
Exactly.
So we became a nation. And that's what, like IQ just said, he had respect unto us because he chose us as a special people. But again, yeah, yes, he doesn't have respect for persons when it comes to judgment.
That's right.
Other nations, of course. But again, all of us, all nations at that time were speaking
The Hebrew tongue.
He changed it up during the time of Tower of Babel.
Mm-hmm.
Tower of Babel, when he confused the tongue.
So we left out at Exodus chapter 6 and verse 5.
Book of Exodus, chapter 6, and verse 5. And I have also heard the groaning of the children of Israel, whom the Egyptians keep in bondage, and I have remembered my covenant.
Right. That's the key I wanted to bring out. And he says, and he has remembered his judgment, his covenant. I'm sorry, he remembered his covenant. All right. Read 6.
Verse 6. Wherefore say unto the children of Israel, I am the Lord, and I will bring you out from under the burdens of the Egyptians, and I will rid you out of their bondage, and I will redeem you with the stretched out arm and with great judgments.
Right. And there's prophecy saying that he's going to redeem us as well out of the hands of this nation. Okay. Definitely out of the hand of this nation. But the key thing is he says he remembered his covenant. The same is he's going to remember his covenant while we in this captivity as well. Now that covenant only belongs to Israel, as the brothers alerted to and they brought out. Only of Israel. So real quick, let's get Deuteronomy chapter 7 and verse 12 to show that this covenant, very important covenant, is only left to how that lineage of seed came down and who was promised it. Okay, Deuteronomy chapter 7 and verse 12.
Book of Deuteronomy, chapter 7, verse 12. Wherefore it shall come to pass, if ye hearken to these judgments, and keep and do them, that the Lord thy God shall keep unto thee the covenant, and have mercy, and the mercy which he sware unto thy fathers.
Keep reading.
And he will love thee, and he will bless thee, and multiply thee. He will also bless the fruit of thy womb, and the fruit of thy land, thy corn, and thy wine, and thine oil, the increase of thine kind, and of the flocks of thy sheep, in the land which he swear unto thy fathers to give thee.
Absolutely. And he have done that. Throughout history, he have done that. Right? Solomon had a great kingdom. David had a great kingdom. And there was other Israelite kings that also had great kingdoms. In Samuel, in First Chronicles, all of those kings. So he did it. Now, what happened was the disobedience on our part. That's why the covenant was taken from us. We went into captivity, as Deuteronomy chapter 28 says, if we did not follow these commandments and the ordinance of the Most High, that we will fall under captivity. So prophecy and the Most High remembered and has kept in his covenant. This is the latter end of what we're looking for right now. We're looking to be redeemed in these last days from the Most High to redeem this covenant, period. So those who say, okay, you can be a Hebrew, like I said before, but that covenant stays firm with Jacob's 12 sons. Okay, let's get Amos real quick. Let's look at Amos, and let's find out more about how the Most High remembered. Amos chapter 3 and verse 1. And he will always refer back to how he saved us and brought us out of Egypt. And we know that today prophecy saying that America is the modern day Egypt today. Okay, Egypt and Babylon. Okay, verse 1.
Book of Amos, chapter 3, and verse 1. Hear this word that the Lord hath spoken against you, O children of Israel, against the whole family which I brought up from the land of Egypt, saying, you only have I known of all the families of the earth. Therefore, I will punish you for all your iniquities.
Now, if you go back up and he said, O children of Israel, against the whole family which I brought up out of the land of Egypt. So now he's telling you, even then at that time, no other nation have ever been into captivity in Egypt and been rescued by Almighty God, period, other than the children of Israel. And why? It's because of that covenant that he remembered. Then he says, you are the only people of all the earth, the families of the earth. That's why he said, I've known you besides all the other nations. And that's why he said that punishment has to come down because of our disobedience. Okay. That verse 2? Mm-hmm. That's verse 2. Okay, let's go to Revelations real quick. Let's go to Revelations real quick. Revelations chapter 21. We're going to start at 21 and 1. Before we go there, like Amos said, all the nations upon the face of the earth, the Most High said, I don't know them. I know of them. They play their role, but I'm more concentrate on them 12 tribes. Why am I concentrating on 12 tribes? It's because the promise I made way back during the time of Abraham, when Abraham had his children, those children are Hebrews. Then we come down to the lineage of Isaac and Jacob, made a different covenant with them, an everlasting covenant, to this point where we're looking to be redeemed now as Israelites, okay, according to the flesh. And now we're going to jump a little bit forward and look in the future of what was prophesied, how the the children of Israel is going to be rescued as well as go into what they consider heaven, but us being redeemed, and the Most High is giving the blessings upon us. Revelation chapter 21 and verse 1.
Book of Revelation, chapter 21, verse 1. And I saw a new heaven and a new earth, for the first heaven and the first earth were passed away. There was no more sea.
So now, like I said, they can't claim this, but we can't claim this prophecy because the Most High here it says it was a new heaven and a new earth. Read on.
Verse 2. And I, John, saw the holy city, New Jerusalem, coming down from God out of heaven.
So now he said he's seen New Jerusalem coming down out of heaven. Go ahead.
Prepared as a bride adorned for her husband. And I heard a great voice out of heaven saying, Behold, the tabernacle of God is with men. He will dwell with them, and they shall be his people.
So now he's claiming a people. He said that the tabernacle of God has come down with men, right? And those men, which is the 12 tribes. And he said they shall be his people. This is the reason why they want to latch on. This is the reason why they want to become Israelites. This is the reason why, as we continue to be waking up, evidence has been shown, as well as all the information the Most High has spread all over the earth. This is the reason why they're so hell-bent to say, no, we're part of this covenant too. We're strangers, which is a lie. Okay, certain parts they're strangers, but they're not to be admitted to this covenant. Okay, go ahead.
His people, and God himself shall be with them.
And who shall be with them?
And God himself, Yahweh himself, shall be with them.
Okay.
And be their power.
And be their power. So New Jerusalem coming down. Plus, Christ said, I'm going to dwell amongst the 12 tribes of Israel. And he said, he will be our power. New Jerusalem now. So stay in Revelations, verse 21, and read verse 12.
Book of Revelation, chapter 21, and verse 12.
Now this is this is one of my main one I like to go to right here because there's no way around this one. There's no way around this one. This has already been set up. New Jerusalem has came down, and with this New Jerusalem coming down, we're gonna find out what verse 12 says. Go ahead.
Verse 12. And it had a wall great and high, and had 12 gates, and at the gates 12 angels.
Right. So now we got a wall high, great and high, 12 gates. New Jerusalem is here. It's got 12 gates on it, really high. Go ahead. 12 angels are standing there as well. Go ahead.
And names written thereon.
There's the names. Go ahead.
Which are the names of the 12 tribes of the children of Israel.
That's it. It didn't say anything else. It said the name of these gates above them was dealing with the 12 tribes of Israel. And through those gates, that's where when the Most High has set up and delivered our people out of this bondage, then each tribe, like I said, we don't even know what tribe we're from. But we're going to know that day when the Most High lines us up and we start to go through them gates. It's going to be surprising. You know, somebody could be, thought they was Judah all this long and they could be Issachar. Somebody thought they was Benjamin and they could be Asher. But at this time right here, the Most High is going to sift, and he's going to actually have all of us, those that he chosen, to be delivered out of this situation, right? And we're going through these gates of New Jerusalem. Now, I hope I brought out the point as the separation. Like I said, those other nations that we named, they came out of Noah and came out of Shem. Yes, they could be called Hebrews, but dealing with the 12 tribes and dealing with the covenant and dealing with Jacob, that's where the blessing is actually passed down to. And there's no other nations that's in between that period because of these same 12 gates that we're talking about. So I know I kind of jumped a little bit, so I was trying to put it together, and I hope that someone, that the children of Israel actually receive this message and do a little research for yourself, and then you'll find out that that's it. He's only dealing with the children of Israel. No other nations. All the other nations stand in line and get your orders from the children of Israel. Okay. So with that, I say shalom.